Hello, this is our presentation for nationalism at the turn of the 20th century. The rebellion sparked an idea among many constituencies that suffered under the colonialist rule, having different experiences for every part of India. The middle-class citizens of India gathered behind the proposed idea. The sparked idea was for the nation, one being with a certain identity, to oppose the British, which were born from a different nation and part of the world. The British had ruled from London and Calcutta, utilizing religious identities to show the difference amongst the of India. As long as the Indian citizens do not unify, so the British can keep the power. India attempted to define what their nation might look like, since religious identities provide to be great dividers. In 1899, the colonial state came under new leadership with Lord Curzon seizing the viceroyship. Once Curzon took up his position, he worked to decrease the numbers on the elected board in Calcutta. In 1904, Curzon held a confidential all-British conference where he and others limited the number of positions at universities for Indian professors. This became known as the University Act. In 1909, Curzon made the decision to split the entire state, which is known as the Partition of Bengal. By doing this, Curzon hoped to divide the India constituency, all the while making it easier to impose British rule. In response to the Partition of Bengal, members of the Swadeshi movement began to boycott all British good and business. This boycott was thoroughly quite successful, causing a 25% decline in the quantity of imported British goods. After 6 years, the British finally revoked the Partition of Bengal. 3 new states emerged from this: Bihar, Orissa, and Assam. In an attempt to lessen the protests from the Indian population, London sent a new viceroy to take the place of Curzon. In 1909, the new colonial administration proposed the morally mental reforms, in the desire of making the Indians feel as though their demands were being met. The reforms increased the number of elected Indian seats in the government to a majority. Still, the reforms reorganized the Indian population as divided along religious lines, and it created separate electorates for Muslims. In 1906, the Muslim League was established in the city of Dhanka in East Bengal. The Muslim League was a political organization, much like the Indian National Congress, that sought political and social reforms for Indian Muslims in the colonial state.
Religion, Nation, and the Lucknow Pact. Indian men had to fight for the British in World War I due to the fiasco with the Partition of Bengal. This aggravated many Indians. The Lucknow Pact, signed in 1916, was an agreement between the Congress and the Muslim League. The Lucknow Pact was a pact that said that other groups had to have representation in the government. The Montagu-Chelmsford reforms created in 1917 made a diarchy out of India because some governing responsibilities were put on the colonial state and others were on the Indian elite. The Rowlatt Acts of 1919 were an example of the way the British force and disregard of constitutional law was played. The Rowlatt Acts denied any trial that was fair for the Indians and immediately put them in detention.